the happy little go uppy downy bridge.
Well, where's the place that we're gonna get our...
I need to look that up.
See the boat? Yes.
See it over here?
That's big one. Wave, wave.
My name's Dimitri, I'll be your captain today. Owen is our first mate. You can find him back to the bar and galley. All kinds of snacks and refreshments back there for you. Freshly made sandwiches, coffee, iced coffee, bottled water, soft drinks, a variety of snacks, as well as cold beer and wine in a full bar, which is now open. Cruising down the Piscataqua River now, catching the very strong outgoing tide and current. Clubs here at the yard in the years 1917 and 1971, to only 136 submarines built here. During World War II, this was one of the most important sub-building bases in the United States. Now, back then, over 20,000 employees worked here. Of that workforce, over 70% were women, by the way. And this yard was at the forefront of submarine design and technology. In the years 1943 and 44, they were launching just about one sub every 11 days here. And that was happening out of the large gray building we see just directly ahead and to the left here. Inside this giant building, they could build up to 8 subs at one time. On being launched here back in those days, those subs are headed directly for the South Pacific. Today's subs are much more complicated than those World War II subs. These old subs are more like boats. They had flat decks and spent most of the time up on the surface.
It's so funny.
908, 277 feet in length. These cutters can carry crew up to 150. Let's go share down to the Caribbean. And of course, I did once build sailing vessels here at the shipyard. And the most famous sailing vessel built here was the USS Kearsarge. The Kearsarge defeated the Confederate ship Alabama. The Alabama had been the Confederacy's most prize-rating ship. She had sunk or burned 57 Union vessels before the Kearsarge defeated her. That battle took place off of Cherbourg, France. Now just ahead to the left, you're seeing Henderson's Point here at the shipyard. The river makes a sharp left turn here at Henderson's Point. Piscataqua makes a left here, continues down to the harbor entrance out onto the Atlantic, with it goes to state borderline. And that's the route we're going to take on this trip. We'll be getting out onto the Atlantic, going around the island of Newcastle, and coming back by a different route, however. We'll be entering through a little harbor and passing through the back channel of Newcastle, and then passing beneath the bridge you now see ahead and to the right to come back into this channel. We do have an aerial photo of the harbor on our brochure if you'd like to trace our route here as we go along. If you don't already have one of those brochures, we do have some back in the cabin. Portsmouth back behind us as we are surfing along here with the outgoing current and tide. Newcastle, New Hampshire is now off to our right, head to the right here, Newcastle Island, rather. And to our left is very imposing structure you're seeing coming into light sentences. If it ever was a successful escape from this prison, the guards here were Marines. Now they were told, should they allow a prisoner to escape past them, well, they would have to serve out the remainder of that prisoner's sentence. Now there's a story about this sort of place that concerns a man many of us know of. During World War I, this man was a shore patrol officer, or SP, stationed in New York. Well, he was tasked with delivering the prisoner up here to Portsmouth. And in traveling by train, changing trains in Boston, walking from South Station to North Station, that prisoner asked the guard if he wouldn't light him a cigarette. Well, the guard obliged. Now, the prisoner whose wrists were shackled decided in that moment to slam his wrist up into the guard's face, badly cutting his lip. And for a moment, he actually got away. But the guard, knowing he had to serve out the remainder of this man's term, quickly caught up with him, got him onto that train, and up here to Portsmouth. When they got here, the medical support got cut to that town. And a few months into that undertaking, 9/11 came along. The Navy quickly put the kibosh on anyone's plans to do anything here, and security very much tightened up there at the shipyard back in those days. This is our shipyard property, of course, a secure nuclear facility. So here it sits, until the Navy decides what they want to do with the place. Let's continue downriver, still in Newcastle, New Hampshire, here to our right. Our next stop will be Pepperell Cove, Kittery Point, Maine.
So I didn't realize that the border is the river. So I guess we technically ate Maine earlier, huh? So they can tie off. See where the sailboats sit? They sit out in the water.
Okay, here we are now in Pepperell Cove, Kittery Point, Maine. Here to our left, Pepperell Cove directly ahead. Pepperell Cove, named for Sir William Pepperell, a very wealthy merchant here in colonial days. In 1745, Mr. Pepperell took a force of local men up to Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia. There they defeated the French at Louisburg during the French and Indian Wars.
Is that that?
Yeah.
Talk about a box house.
But they still
Yeah,
have.
the gun ports in.
Oh, there's a lighthouse right there. Is that one up there?
Yeah. So we got out in the open water, can't you?
Hear stories of the lighthouses, what they went through in the wintertime. Well, they had to keep their own wood, bring their own food in and everything.
I understand that these are still lighthouses.
Back on the New Hampshire side of the river now. This is Newcastle Island, of course, and off to the right here as well. Newcastle, also known as the Great Island, the only town in the state of New Hampshire situated solely on islands, and also the smallest town in the state, about 1 square mile. Well,
See, Daddy.
It's amazing the stories that you find out.
Daddy, your hat is gonna fly over.
There's seats inside if we get too cold. Could not make me lay down right now, son. It's over with. Are you having fun?
Get up.
side of the river, we are seeing Fort Foster, the long pier sitting for Fort Foster. Fort Foster went by forts protecting Portsmouth during World War II. The reason for the 5 bullets, the naval shipyard here, of course, was one of Nazi Germany's primary targets during the war. There were many German U-boat sightings along the coast here back in those days. In addition to the 5 forts protecting Portsmouth, the harbor entrance at the time was mined with 3 rows of mines, basically in this area of the river now, and also submarine across the harbor entrance. The net was designed to keep your U-boats under the roof here. This is the old Rhode Island Life-Saving Station. Now, the men of the life-saving service were predecessors to the Coast Guard. They would row out aboard rowboats to rescue sailors in distress. That was all back in the days before ships had radio. They'd use visual signal to indicate that they were in trouble. Many of these houses lined the eastern seaboard at one time, almost within sight of each other. Royal Governor to Nova Scotia. This house is open to the public. Over 40 rooms in the house, and many of the bushes surrounding the property are purple lilac, said to be the oldest lilacs on the continent, imported here by the governor.